Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to the war zone. I got my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, in the building. Demetra K is in the building. And tonight, a rising young political figure. Y'all done seen the podcast, man, in the middle of the day. My man, hot like fish grease. Damien Thaddeus Jones is in the building. And you know who I am. The 5-star general. We about to go in, man. I want to say top of the afternoon to y'all. Man, it feels so good to be back in the city, man. I'm back in the H right now. Just touched down at the hotel downtown. Don't look like nobody down here. Everybody running from the corona. Ain't no restaurants open down here. Nothing. But I'm in the building, man. I'm in the building. Want to say what's up to my man Donovan Sadiq. What's going on, big homie?
Oh, brother, same old, different day, same old problems.
And how is the queen doing, Demetra K?
I'm doing well, no complaints.
Well, I know y'all, it's a lot of shows on social media, man. And look like, it's the new thing now. It's the new thing. I seen a lot of good people cranking up podcasts and different types of talk shows but I want y'all to know something. I love all of y'all, but I'm the king. I'm the king. We the king and the queens of this here, man. We do this for real. I got my man Damien Thaddeus Jones in the building, man. What's going on, big dog?
Hey man, I'm happy to be with you. Good to see you all. Good to meet Donovan and Demetra. I'm a big fan of the show. I watch the show when I'm not doing my own stuff, but this is a great platform. And just like you said, Jerry, you are the MJ. You the Michael Jordan of this thing, man. So I learned from you. So it's a great opportunity to be here with you all, and I look forward to this scintillating conversation that we'll have tonight.
Well, man, if I'm the MJ, I got Scotty and Dennis with me at all times. So we rocking hard over here, man.
I'm Dennis.
You Dennis. Okay, so Demetra is Dennis and Donovan is Scotty. So that's how we gonna rock it tonight. Why don't you give us a brief bio of you, Damien, so the people can actually know who you
are? Sure. So Damien Jones, 35 years old. I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi, born and raised. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. As you see here, educated at Texas Southern University in political science. Always had a heart for service, to serve people all of my life. If it wasn't the Boy Scouts as a kid, if it wasn't an usher in the church, always try to help people. Raised in the church. My grandfather's a pastor. My parents are awesome. My grandparents were sharecroppers, so I learned hard work and dedication, growing up in Mississippi. But then after college, I got involved in politics about 10 years ago when I moved here to Houston, and it really changed my life. I knew I wanted to move in the political space, but I didn't know how. And actually, the first politician I ever met in Houston was Jarvis Johnson. He was city council at that time. And so just watched him. And then I met Congresswoman Jackson Lee. And then I became involved in student government at Texas Southern as well, and became the vice president of Student Government Association, but also did some work within the community, just learning and just putting my head down and just working, and trying to achieve what I wanted to do, which is really help people. And I've always felt the greatest African-American in the history of this country is you give a lot of kudos to Harriet Tubman and what she brought to the table. You give a lot of kudos to Malcolm X and what he brought to the table. You give a lot of kudos to Martin Luther King and what he brought to the table. But I think the greatest, most impactful African-American in history was Thurgood Marshall, because he changed laws and what he was able to do with Brown v. Board, the way he was able to beat the Supreme Court, I think 30 out of 32 times or something like that. It's important, in order for us to push back on oppression and tyranny and terrorism. of black and brown people. We got to change the laws in black and white. We can march till our eyes pop out, but until we change some laws, we have not been effective. And so that was kind of my impetus to get into politics and my passion to get into politics. You know, I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. It's a concrete jungle, and a lot of my friends are dead, or either incarcerated or something like that. And so for me to be 35 years old, successful, married, and to make it out of there is a blessing within itself. As I mentioned, my grandparents were sharecroppers, you know, not 2 or 3 generations ago, but my grandparents in the Mississippi Delta where it was, you know, working somebody else's land to make ends meet. My grandmother shared stories with me about how she stood up to white supremacy just within doing her job. And she feared for her life for weeks, thinking that they would come and kill her. But that's something she taught me. Number one, don't ever let nobody call you out of your name. Your name is Damien Jones, and that's what people will always say. And that's why I use my whole name, because it's a source of pride that my parents and grandparents gave me. And so, you know, that's who I am. And so then got involved in politics. Then I went to DC on an internship with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and really achieved my dreams. And my life changed ever since that day. And learned the game politically at that point. Then I came back to Houston for a little bit and started working with State Senator Ellis. And he showed me the ropes. I was his driver, and he showed me the ropes of how to maneuver within this game. And then I moved on to do some work with State Representative Ron Reynolds as well. And then I moved to DC, and I led the program at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And then I moved on to do some environmental justice work in DC. And then in 2018, I jumped on to Beto O'Rourke's campaign and came back to Houston and led his African-American outreach. And I think history shows that we did an incredible job with what we were able to do with him in Harris County and in Houston and across this country. And so I'm very proud of that work. And now I run my own consulting firm, Ambition Strategies, where we do communications and political strategy, and we help elected officials, campaigns, private corporations as well, and to, you know, kind of connect with their target audiences and to reach underserved communities and things of that nature. And so I'm, you know, that's who I am. And, you know, at the core of me, I just want to help and serve people. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very intense about what I do because I want to do stuff right. I want to win. And we only get one opportunity at life. You know, I was talking to this HPD cadet class yesterday about just the history of the relationship of African-American people in law enforcement. And what I told them at the end of my comments was, when you die, on your tombstone, you got your birth date and your death date. And in between, there's a dash. And that dash is defined by who you want to be in life. You know, do you want to be somebody who never stood for anything? Do you want to be somebody who has no morals and no principles and no foundation? Or do you want to be somebody that is, as we learned in Matthew 23:11 in the Bible, he that is greatest among you will be your servant? Do you want to have a legacy of greatness, and that you helped somebody, and that you served others, and that you made the world better than how you found it? And so that's who I am at the core of me, just trying to make the world better on today than how I found it yesterday.
Well, I tell you what, man, you're a political consultant, so I'm gonna start it off with the first question.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell is wrong with these black politicians in Houston, man?
I don't know, brother. I don't know. I know you call them out all the time. What's wrong with them? You know, we can't cast aspersion on everybody. Everybody has some strengths, and then we all have some flaws in how we do our work. And but I think something you and I have talked about. I think that I believe in term limits, and I don't believe that anybody should be in any role. I don't care if that's in private corporations, in public spaces, what have you. 20 years. You know, when you on your private job, after 20 years, you retire and you go home and do what you got to do. But somehow in politics, we allow people to sit around for 25, 30, 35, 40 years. If you haven't achieved what you set out to do in 20 years, then you probably ought to let somebody come in and do that job as well. So I believe we should have term limits to allow fresher voices into the conversation, to reinvigorate um, the political discussion or whatever the discussion is, to keep just some fresh ideas on the table. Because with anything comes complacency, comes disconnectedness as well. And so I think that here in the city of Houston, we have some good quality leaders who have served for a good while. But at some point, we got to pass the baton, and I truly hope that time is coming soon.
Well, I'm a, I think we got some good quality leaders. Some of them, and some of them nickel slick.
Hmm.
Some of them slick as a can of oil. That's what it is. Now, because you in Houston and you've seen it, the Democratic Party, led by Lily Sector, is a complete mess at the moment.
Hmm.
We got the 142 debacle.
Yep.
We got the District B debacle.
Hmm.
We got Judge Powell, who I felt was done totally wrong.
Right.
And we also have the Brittany Morris situation.
Right.
We got the Jared Davis residency situation.
Right.
Give me your honest opinion on how well the Democratic Party in Harris County is doing at the moment, based on what I just told you.
It depends on what lens you're looking at it from. If you are looking at it from um, well-to-do and connected whites, then it's working out really well. But if you're talking about how it relates to people of color, poor people, those who have been disenfranchised, those who have been locked out of the system, those whose voices are never heard, then I would submit to you that the Democratic Party has a long way to go in terms of engaging those voices, in terms of lifting those people up, in terms of diversity across the board, and getting away from lip service. You just laid out a bevy of examples, whereas we have a lot of room for improvement and areas of improvement in terms of how we engage African Americans and people of color in this county. Listen, African Americans are a huge voting bloc, and we continue to carry and carry and carry the Democratic Party. But somehow we don't get the respect we deserve. We are not placed in positions of leadership. We're well qualified, but it just seems as though the same people continue to hold these roles and kind of box us out, give us kind of field, put them in the field, give them field positions or give them some organizers positions. But it's time that we put make sure Black folks are in the top leadership roles, executive director, party. Listen, we've never had an African American party chair. Now I'm not casting aspersion on the person that's sitting in that current seat, but I'm just saying down the road, why can't we just push for an African American party chair as well? We're in 2020. It's time that we diversify our how we look at leadership and our strategies. And in order for us to help have a inclusive Democratic Party, we have to make sure that we include all voices in the conversation. And personally, I am infuriated. I am fed up. Black people have suffered too long. Black people have fought too hard. We carry this party, but we still don't get the respect. And you even see it at the national level as well. Not to pick on only the county party. The state party has its issues as well. They don't have great diversity within their leadership and within their staff as well. I can show you a picture right now where they may have one person on the staff, but we have the most African Americans of any state in the union. So to me, it's asinine. To me, it's unacceptable. But I also think on the other side of that, we as a community have to do a better job of holding these people accountable. Let's stop accepting turkeys. Let's stop accepting these BS. Oh, we'll give y'all some jobs and positions.
I'll take a ham.
Yeah, no, you got to get off that swine, brother. But we have to put our foot on their necks because we have the leverage, and we have to be straightforward. We got to stop being happy with just taking a picture with people. I take a picture of anybody. Picture don't mean nothing to me, right? But we have to really hold people accountable and really call them to the carpet and really be straightforward and honest and stop letting people just throw you a little bone and be happy about it. We have the opportunity to really do something incredible. Listen, our children are watching us in terms of how we fight. Our elders are depending on us to continue the fight that they started, and we got to be strategic about it. We got to stop fighting each other and tearing each other down, and get on one accord and have these strategic conversations to make sure that we fully utilize our power that we have within the African American and Hispanic body politic.
Demetri?
And once again, welcome. So,
Yes,
I want to ask, how do we, in your opinion, move Black voters from symbolism to getting results, to tangibles? Because we know oftentimes we as Black people vote out of symbolism. Our ancestors did it. So, they died far right, blah, 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 all of that. But we vote and we don't get anything. So how do we move from just doing it out of symbolism to actually getting results? Like, what does it a mindset change? Like, in your opinion, what do we need to do?
You know what my honest opinion is? And Jerry has been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. We need to have Black folks in both parties. When we go and put ourselves in this one area, in this one box. Listen, I have no problem with Black Republic. I just had one on my show the other day, and we had a very robust discussion, a very respectful discussion. I have no issue with that, and I really hate when people demonize people because they think differently than them, or they are, aligned with a different party than them. I think that's really crazy, because at the end of the day, whether you Black, blue, red, white, green, what have you, we all are in the human family, and we are God's people. We just may see the world a little differently, but that doesn't mean we have to hate each other, right? And so I think Black folks, brown folks, those who are being oppressed, those who are being marginalized, we need to go play in the Republican Party. We also need to be in the Democratic Party. And if we want to be independent, we need to spread ourselves out. So again, we can have real robust discussions. Nobody can box us in one corner. Because I mean, what the Republican young man I talked to the other day said, I said, tell me about the power of the African American vote. He said, the Black vote has no power after the primary. After the primary, it's a wrap. And you kind of seeing that now because, you can argue that now Joe Biden won the primary. He knows he has the black vote in the bag, right? So there are certain things that he's not going to even do, right? And because we gave, and a lot of friends of mine have talked about this, we gave up all of our power in the primary. We didn't hold people's feet to the fire. We didn't make certain demands. I mean, arguably, what is a Black agenda? Do we have one? Where do I go to find it? Is there a website? Right? Do I go find that? Well, I might. Okay, you might say, then what is the agenda in Houston? Where do I go find that? Is there a website to find it? What is the Black agenda for Harris County, for the state? Where do I find that? As far as I know, it doesn't exist, right? In terms of just having one particular area for people to draw from and know what our marching orders are. So in terms of what you talk about, to your question, I think we need to play in different buckets and use our leverage first and foremost. Secondly, we got to constantly speak truth to power. We got to stop letting people off the hook, right? Just because, listen, white folks will do us any kind of way, will say anything to us, right? And then they know if they come back and apologize, then we're gonna just forgive them. We're going to go back to our Christian roots and turn the other cheek, right? But I think you can forgive people, but don't forget. But it also doesn't mean that you let them off the hook as well. Folks have to be accountable by how they treat us. I was just talking to police cadets yesterday, and I was letting them know you have to be accountable for your actions, right? When Black folks make mistakes, we're held accountable. Disproportionately, the punishment is worse than any other ethnic group, right? So we also have to we need to hold Joe Biden accountable for his involvement with the 1994 crime bill, however we can. We need to hold him accountable in terms of the lackluster, lift every voice, Black agenda that he presented as well. We got to hold folks accountable and just stop taking any damn thing. But also, and I talked about this when I talked with people about relationships, you got to know what you want. A lot of times, especially Democrats, we out here just yelling, right? Complaining about everything. And then you ask, what are your solutions? Or what are you looking for? I don't know. I just don't like Donald Trump. right? That's not going to get us anywhere. But you also got to know what you stand for and what you will not tolerate as well. So if we can find that one leader, to me, I think the most fearless leader, African American leader in the country is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? But then look, they've censored him, they've taken him off Facebook, taken him off Twitter, all this kind of stuff, right? But if we ever just find that one leader who can be strong, who can speak truth to power, and who is fearless to stand up to white supremacy without any strings attached and worried about money, and can give us our marching orders, can give us what our strategy is going forward from a political standpoint, from a socio-economic standpoint, to attack the wealth inequality in this country, we will be all right. But we need some fearless leaders, as Martin talked about. We need some drum majors that are ready to lead the fight. We got to stop letting folks off the hook and treating us any kind of way. But we also need to play in different parties as well.
Donovan?
I got two questions. Yeah, I got two questions.
Donovan, tell me when I'm talking too much. I can talk all day.
Yeah, you did good, brother. You did good. I'm gonna move away a little bit. I just want to know. Okay, you said you're an Air Force veteran. What did you do in the Air Force? What was your AFSC? For those people that don't know, that's a job.
Okay.
And did you get your CCAF?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did coming into the military open opportunities for you once you came back into the civilian side?
Yes. So what was my job? I was a aircraft electrical, it was E&E, so electrical and environmental system specialist. So I worked on F-16s, doing all the wiring, all the electrical stuff. Listen, if I was doing that job in the private sector, I'd be making like $200,000 right now.
Oh, absolutely. That's avionics. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. But I didn't like the job. I always say I don't want to do nothing that I don't have a passion for. And so I'm not your go turn a wrench, fix a tire guy. I pay somebody to do that. I know how to do it, but you work hard so you can pay somebody to do that kind of stuff. So that was my job. But were you in the Air Force?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, because when you say AFSC, okay, you talking my language now, so hey, thank you for your service.
Yeah, you too. But I was old school Cold War stuff. But I was an aircraft mechanic, and then I became a 130 pilot. So
okay, yeah. So I was stationed in the Luke Air Force Base, and I went there when I was 18 years old, and it changed my life. Taught me how to be a professional at that particular time. Taught me how to manage money. I built camaraderie with some great friends as well that I still keep in touch with to this day. So it really taught me to grow up and be a man. But there's no greater honor than to serve our country. Our imperfect country. But I woke up every day proud, and that's why I still wear this hat today, very proud. But in terms of your question, did it prepare me for other opportunities in life? Man, I'll be honest with you, dude. I've always gotten positions that I probably wasn't qualified for. That I probably on paper I shouldn't have gotten. But I always shoot higher. I always shoot higher than what I'm supposed to really shoot for. And I think part of that is because of when people see military on your resume, they see you as being on time, as being prompt, as being disciplined, all those different things. And for the most part, we are, but we are humans. So some of us are dirt bags too. We're gonna be late for work sometime. All those different things. You know the language. And so, yeah, I think it's really helped me a great deal. I was able to, the military put me through school as well. I didn't pay a dime for that. I'm thankful for that. I'm still getting some benefits to this day because of my experience in there. And so I encourage young people who can't find their way, who are coming out of high school and can't figure it out and don't know what they want to do just yet. Go to the military. It'll change your life, man, because, I'm the youngest of three boys. Both of my older brothers are also veterans of the Air Force as well. One just finished 18 years on full retirement now. And it changed our lives coming from Jackson, Mississippi, man. And my parents are so proud of what we've been able to do. But I don't know if I didn't go to the military, I don't know if I'd be sitting here talking to you all about politics and life.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have a good the 172nd Airlift Squadron there in Jackson at the airport there. That's a good unit.
Yeah,
good unit.
Absolutely. You muted, LG. OG, you muted.
we call it the hot seat.
Yeah.
So when they show up, I ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, or whatever, 2 or 3 years ago, something, you were accused of something, and I think that when it was all said and done, you were cleared,
Yeah.
and a young lady actually accused you of rape
Yeah.
when you were a staffer for Sheila Jackson Lee. Can you give us a little insight about what happened and how it turned out in your favor?
Well, yeah, that was an unfortunate situation, and that I was accused of, and there was a full investigation by the local authorities in DC. I complied fully. I was never arrested ever for that situation. Full investigation, and I think 2 years after the accusation, 2015, I was accused. 2017, the authorities closed their investigation, and they found no findings of the accusation. And so when it popped back up a few years later, it was really a political witch hunt, because we had just finished doing some great work with Beto O'Rourke, and I was getting some national attention. Everybody was looking at that campaign, and listen, when you do good work, man, when you're proud of who you are, you get a target on your back sometimes. And I've always been a proud Black man who speaks truth to power, and I don't shy away from my talent and what I bring to the table. And you're gonna take your lumps when you're in the front of the band. When you're a leader, you're gonna take your lumps. And but what's done in the dark will always come to the light. And so I've been cleared. The Congresswoman was cleared of that as well. And so that was a great learning experience for me. It also taught me who was in my corner and who really wasn't as well. But if I want to be a leader, if I want to speak up for my people, I've also got to know how to get dirty a little bit. I also got to know how to take my lumps and get up and keep fighting as well. Was that a hurtful situation for me? Absolutely, because I've tried to put it all on the field and pour my heart out to help other people. And when people unfairly attack you in such a way, it hurts. I'm human, but it's a great learning experience, and so it's only preparing me for what's greater down the road. And so I appreciate those who continue to support me. As that media onslaught happened to me, and it really affected my family a great deal. But listen, I love it. I love adversity. I love every bit of it, man. It only makes you better. If you ain't going through some shit, in life, and you ain't doing nothing. So I appreciate it. Makes me better, and I'm even more focused to keep working for the community, man. So I don't get distracted by that crap, man. We got work to do.
One of our people asked the question, what was Beto's Black agenda? He championed Hispanic issues in Texas, but they didn't hear about a Black agenda. Now, the reason I asked you that, because us African Americans in consulting or whatever, we got to get our money,
right?
But we working for people that don't have our people's best interests at heart. So I think so everybody could know. Because honestly, Beto popped up like he was the second coming of John F. Kennedy. You look good, homie, but I just didn't trust you. So,
well,
what was his Black? Because you worked for him,
right?
And then I'm gonna flip it on you, because you worked for the Congresswoman who's African American.
Let me clear that. I've never worked for the Congresswoman.
Oh, okay. So
we work.
Let's just stick to Beto. What was his Black agenda?
Let me just say, first, I appreciate your questions, first and foremost, and secondly, so when I came on Beto's campaign in May of 2018, I moved from DC to come back to Houston for that opportunity, and I did my research on him, and he really reminded me at that time of like a Bobby Kennedy. I'm a political historian, so I studied presidents, I studied some of the greats, and I really like Bobby Kennedy, and he reminded me of what a Bobby Kennedy could have been, particularly at that time. And so I was excited to participate and be a part of what was something special, because at that time he was little known. Nobody knew really anything about him. And I joined the group. I joined the campaign along with some other folks that were already there that were doing a really good job. And we tried to implement some energizing ideas for the African American community. You know, thankful that I already kind of had some tentacles within the community. I wanted to introduce him. I think one of the reasons why they brought me on, I'll never forget this. Before I came on the campaign, they did an event in Sunnyside, in the middle of Sunnyside, and you know, Sunnyside is black. And the story that I was told that maybe it was 150 people there, and maybe 4 black people in the whole Sunnyside multi-purpose center or what have you. So they were like, we got a black problem. And so I was a hired gun. I came in to try to introduce him to the black community. But in terms of what was his policies for black folks, we didn't really talk much about policy.
So he didn't have none.
No, let me tell you. One thing Beto was able to do, he made it through off energy. He made it in talking in kind of anecdotes. He never really got into deep policy discussions. Now, what were those kind of top level type points? We wanted to talk about criminal justice reform. You've had Robert on the show, Robert Williams, and Robert would call me and cuss me out all the time to hold Beto accountable, to make sure that we're talking about expunging the records of those with those minor marijuana charges on their record as well. We talked about how the Harris County Jail is the biggest mental health hospital in the state of Texas, and how do we care for those who have mental issues trapped inside the system as well. We talked about wealth inequality as well, and how that is really hurting black folks, hundreds of years of oppression. We talked about maternal mortality. You know, we connected with State Rep Sean Theory on that particular issue. You know, how black women are dying from childbirth. So I don't remember the exact platform, but it was just kind of top level. Never really got deep in the weeds per se on that. But I think folks were energized by that. Was it probably the best platform? Could it have been wildly better? I believe so. I really do believe so. But it was, I mean, be honest with you, there was some infighting on the inside, you know, and you know, everything looked good on the outside. But let me tell you, man, we had some fights on the inside. You know, I really had to speak truth to power oftentimes within our calls, within the campaign, because black folks weren't always treated the best. Our ideas weren't always embraced. There was some I won't say white supremacy. I don't want to put it that way, but I think there was folks within the team that needed to learn about the black culture, and there needed to be some cultural competence as it relates to how to engage black people and things of that nature, how to understand our frustrations, how to understand microaggressions and things of that nature, how our field staff was being treated. You know, those folks from Sunnyside and the North Side who wanted to work on campaigns, who wanted to put a little money in their pocket and work on behalf of Beto. And so
here's a question for you. I ain't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
If all that is going on,
mm-hmm.
and you are the strong black example to youngsters that's watching you, or to communities that are watching you,
mm-hmm.
why would you allow yourself to be a part of that type of foolishness?
Well, that's a good question, Monroe.
Was it the money?
Money was good. I ain't gonna front about that. The money was good. You know, I negotiated pretty good. The money was good. I'm not gonna front. Checks came good. But that's a really good question. But here's another part, and kind of to go back to Demetrius' question earlier, how do we move forward? One thing I learned from Malcolm is, in order to learn how to progress and move forward, you got to infiltrate, right? And learn the ways in which of how they win and what they do. I wouldn't be a successful consultant now if I wasn't on on Beto's campaign, because I learned so much about how much money is being kicked around to white folks. These large contracts that we are never privy to, that we know nothing about. They tell us to go knock on doors. Meanwhile, these large contracts are being passed around. That stuff opened my eyes big time. But also within that, somebody has to be the one to go in there and take the lumps and take the hits for others to go out and to inform people about how this thing works and what happens. You know, we were very frustrated, but I also want you to remember, dude, we lost by 2 points. We lost by 2 points, and arguably we could have. Arguably, if machines didn't screw up around across the state, we could have won, right? And so it was. Listen, it was a lot of pressure. My first day on that job, I signed. I approved a $400,000 media deal to make sure that we put money in the pockets of Black media here in the city of Houston. They'll tell you Jeff Boney, Forward Times, Sonny Giles, Defender, all those Black papers. They'll tell you. We all sat in the room and we made sure they had money in their pocket. We made sure that they were taken care of. So it was a lot of pressure because I had nobody to look to. I had nobody to learn from, right? Because we're never in those type of roles, right? And so, man, I went home a lot of days stressed out, trying to figure it out. But I knew I had the weight of Black folks on my back, and that's what I signed up for. And I was going to stand tall and do the job the best way I could. So that's a great question that you asked. But you know, you can't quit. You can voice your grievances. You speak truth to power. But everything doesn't have to leak out and make it a huge deal. You can handle your business on the inside discreetly, and people understand that you mean business. And so I think we were able to do that, our entire team.
Demetri?
So I actually have 3 questions. Maybe I'll reduce it to 2. So I want to start with you said when they were asking you about why, or Gary asked you about why were you involved in such foolishness, and you said that, well, I'm use it to kind of, I guess, learn what I could, infiltrate the system. Are you familiar with the spook who sat by the door? I'm sure you are.
I've heard of that, but is that a book or a movie?
Everybody, please, tonight, forget Netflix. Go to YouTube and watch The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Now, the reason I asked you that is because The Spook Who Sat by the Door was a movie. They deemed it like a blaxploitation movie, but it came out in the 70s, where it was a Black guy who was a CIA. They were training him to be a CIA agent. Well, he took everything he learned and took it back to the hood. I think it was Chicago, and trained up all the men. And, they waged this full-fledged war with white supremacy. Now, the end is unwritten because I guess they were more or less like, it's for you guys to decide how the story will end. And so that's kind of what I thought about when you were saying that you were kind of infiltrating. But did you use any of that, to come back to, let's say, the Black community to say, okay, this is what I learned. This is what I need to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so after I finished on that campaign, I started my firm, and which is our direct goal is to build Black political power. The clients that I work with have been Black. I work in Black communities to make sure we're building up Black people, to make sure we get good Black elected officials around the horseshoe and the state legislature and so forth. And so all that I do is to lift up, empower, and to bring my people forward. I don't shy away from my color and who I am. And we've been treated so poorly for so long, but I've also been blessed with great opportunities, and I've always been taught for whom much is given, much is required. And so every move that I make, we've been able to raise my firm. We've been able to raise a little bit over $200,000 within the past year and a half for candidates and our clients as well. And so, yeah, we are using that because, look, you know why we're losing oftentimes in the political space? Because we don't raise money. Other people or other groups are raising money on top of money on top of money, and you'll have good quality, passionate, well qualified Black candidates on the ballot, and they'll lose to a lackluster person because there's no money to go reach voters, to hire good staff and things of that nature. Everybody wants us to go knock on doors and be field organizers, but nobody wants us to be fundraisers. And so my wife was a fundraiser. And so we're very strategic about how we want to build Black political power within this county, the city, and state, and across this country. And so, yeah, absolutely. I try to use everything that I learned. I went through some hell within that campaign, but it was a great opportunity that taught me a lot that we can go on and pass. But here's another thing. I think Jerry and I talked about this the other night. It's about training. As I mentioned when I was in that role, I didn't have anybody to look up to and call and learn from. And the people that was on my phone, they was trying to get a contract. So everybody had their hand out. They wanted something. So it was a very stressful role for me. But if we have a training mechanism where we're training Black and brown young people who want to be involved in the political system, then we won't have these issues. And people say, well, I can't find a good person. I can't find a good campaign manager where there are no people. So we're going to go with the same old folks. And so we need to build that apparatus as well, so we can train people to be chiefs of staffs, to be field directors, to be fundraisers, and all those different type of things, because it's more than just being a candidate. There are also other pieces around that as well. And so absolutely, and that's a good question. But yeah, I continue to try to use that training to help others.
All right. So let me, and if you guys don't mind, so I want to go back to the rape allegations, and I want to address Terry, where he says, well, people always want to talk about the negative and not the positive. Well, I think anybody, interviewing somebody wants to, just, we want to tell the whole story. We don't know the story. Obviously, like you said, you were cleared. And so that's a good thing. But my question I really want to ask you is, why do you think people don't, stick up for the accused? Because you're the accused, you're not found guilty. So, I mean, especially with the Me Too era, we've seen a lot of people fall. We've seen a lot of political people in the game fall. Al Franken was one of them. And when they said they looked at what happened, a lot of people who were against them said we should have actually decided. So in your opinion, being that you were in that situation, why do you think people just throw you under the bus, or throw you away rather?
What I learned from that experience is the power of media. And that's part of the reason why I do my podcast. I did radio. I had my own radio show at KTSU in college back in 2013. I've always had a passion for radio and media. I always wanted my own show. I grew up listening to David Letterman and listening to talk radio with my dad and things of that nature, Rush Limbaugh and things of that nature. So that's why I love this. Jerry and I talk about this. Like, we really love doing this kind of stuff. But media has so much power, and we have so many media folks. We have bloggers, we have podcast people, and people are just clamoring for a story, right? And so the media will take any little thing and write a headline and blow it out of proportion. And nowadays in this social media era, people don't read the articles. They don't read the details. They just see the headline and then go share it, and then it just shares and goes and goes and goes and goes, and they don't go into the details to say he was never charged, there was blah blah blah. They just see the headline, so and so accused of whatever, right? And so that is unfortunate that happens. But what also, I think we've forgotten about due process. I really think that we have forgotten about due process, and we just instantly want to judge people the first time we hear something, or people lie every day. I think people lie, and people lie on people that they don't like, and people have all kind of other different type of reasons, to do what they do. But we've got to remember, if we're a country that is always talking about criminal justice reform, then how on God's earth do we not give people due process and give people a fair shot, and people and people are innocent until proven guilty, right? That's a BS, And especially when you talk about the Democratic Party, we have torn up and torn down some really good candidates, some really good candidates. But let me just say this first as a just kind of disclaimer: sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape, those are serious issues, and I do not condone that in any type of way. If people have proven to have done those type of things, they need to be held accountable. I don't care who you are. You do not do that type of stuff to people. But at the same time, we sensationalize and politicize every damn thing in this country, and we're so divided now, where we're blinded, and we don't understand due process. Everybody deserves due process. Everybody needs the opportunity to speak their side of it and what happened, right? And we need to read the facts and look at what's in front of us, and be objective in how we review information, and that hasn't happened. But listen, mess and drama sells, Demetra, and that's what people want, right? Listen, y'all have a really good show, and people watch it because y'all bring the drama, and it's very scintillating, right? But that's people want to see that type of stuff, but people will share the negative headlines, but then when the positive stuff comes, you can't get nobody to share it. You can't get nobody to talk about it. And that's just how we are. And that's just the way the world is. And it's pretty sad. But we got to do a better job of standing up for our friends, for our loved ones, for those that we know that are good people, right? You know, listen, they attacked Martin, they attacked Malcolm, they attacked Jesus. All of us sitting on this podcast have been attacked. All of us and all of you in the comments have been attacked and lied on at some point. And what do? You got to keep going, because if you know whose you are, if you know the person that you are, you know the type of work that you try to do every day, attacks will come. But we got to do a better job of stop being so wrapped up into this political climate, and trying to protect ourselves from our future political aspirations, and stand on something and support our brothers and sisters in you know, when they're going through a tough time. And we got to lift our voices, and like you talked about, and give the accused an opportunity, because everybody's accused and guilty, and you got to let the process play itself out. You got to let law enforcement investigate and all those type of things, man. And so I'm so grateful that, you know, in my particular case, there was a full investigation, and it was proven that none of the accusations that were levied against me and the Congresswoman were true. And so I'm thankful for that. But we got to do a better job in terms of due process and encouraging and lifting people up.
Donovan?
Really quick before you guys go, and I just want to tell you guys, along with watching the spook who sat by the door, read the story of Fatty Arbuckle. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with him. He's an actor back in the 1920s. Read his story. And that's what your story kind of reminds me of. He was accused and just completely ruined
his career, everything. Yeah.
So,
right. Hey, the one question I have is we're having the same problems out here in California, and it seems like it's all over, but it's specific to the Democratic Party. What is your thoughts on this ballot harvesting that's going on? I mean, we have a big problem with it.
Oh man. Listen, there's some issues there. You know, I've read the reports. I've seen the really good investigative journalism that was done. I think the young lady trashtalk.com, wherever it was. There's some real issues there. And we know that there is some underhanded things going on within campaigns. Like you said, when we look at what happened with House District 142, there was something that went awry. I don't know who was responsible for it, but something went awry in that particular case as well. We know that people are cheating in some type of way, no matter what state, no matter what county, in terms of people trying to win, because it equals power. Right. But, you know, I'm greatly concerned, because when you talk about these harvesting mail ballots and things of that nature, and taking advantage of our elderly, preying on our elderly, I have real issues with that. Number one. Number two, with coronavirus really affecting our elections and you know, our ability to go vote in person, and now there's huge rampant talk about everybody getting a mail ballot. I have real concerns about that, because listen, people haven't even turned in their damn census paperwork. How do we think millions of people are going to send back a mail ballot? Number one. And two, how are we going to stop all the fraud and all the illegal activity that's been happening on the smaller scale? Now that millions of people have these things, man, I'm really concerned about what's happening. I really hope, you know, well, I ain't gonna say that, but I'm concerned about what's happening. I don't know why people are doing it. I know they just want to continue to have power and win, but it's unfortunate, and I hope the culprits of this type of activity are caught and held accountable. Because guess what? Democracy is a very sacred process. The political process is a very sacred process. I told you, my grandparents were sharecroppers. Man, we all can read the history about how Black folks down in Mississippi were killed, lynched, hung, drowned, all for the right to try to vote, right? And so it's a sacred process that means a lot to our community, and to have people playing with that process. And listen, politics is an art to me. I went to school for this crap. This, you know, so like, this ain't no game to me. And so if we're gonna do it, we need to do it right. And so I have real issues that with people that cheat like that, and really disrupt the process and disrespect what those who have come before us have tried to build. And so I really hope those people are caught. But I know you all on this show will continue to uncover the BS when it comes to that.
Well, let me tell you this. The reason that we cannot find our next generation of true African American politicians is because, especially in Houston, at the African American high schools, they don't know what government is.
Mm-hmm.
Government class is a joke. They don't have student councils.
Mm-hmm. Really important.
You see what I'm saying?
Really
So
important.
that is the training ground.
Right.
And I think every black elected official should go to every one of these African American schools and find them some kids to work in their offices.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to train them up, then train them up from when they're young.
Look, check this out, OG. But to that point, that's one goal that I have. I want to build a training mechanism to train either high school, college folks how to work in politics. That's one of my ultimate goals. But there's only one entity within Harris County where that exists already. Guess who created it?
Ooh.
Rodney Ellis. I know you ain't a fan, but his Texas Legislative Internship Program, TLIP program, has been going on for about 25 years and have put close to 500, 600 young aspiring African Americans through a legislative session who have gone on to do great stuff, right? And I'm a product of it too. And many of the stars, like, and you had Anthony on the show. Anthony is a product of TLIP as well, and a whole host of others. And so I know you have your qualms with Commissioner Ellis, but the TLIP program is extremely important. And I know since he's become commissioner, he's had to kind of downsize a little bit, but it's time for somebody else to kind of pick up that baton and continue that training mechanism. Because again, as I talked about, we can't just wake up in the morning and expect to be good at something. We have to prepare and we have to train. There's training that's involved. If we want to win in elections, we have to train. We have to train people in order to win. We've been watching those Michael Jordan
they've been training them. They've been
documentaries. You say you MJ got up and trained every day to be the greatest ever. And so there's a lot of training that's involved. And so if somebody's listening, they want to write me a big check to start a training program for young aspiring black politicos, please reach out to me and write that check for me, and we can get it started.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: ballot harvesting is real in Harris County.
Mm-hmm.
It's real, and it's not a mistake. It's not like the politicians don't know what's going on. Oh, I didn't know they were doing. Yes, you do. You paid them to do it. You paid them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody would question your background and you've been cleared, why wouldn't you question somebody who's been convicted of forgery? But yet they have to go out here and they have to work your early ballots. Why wouldn't you question somebody who's been questioned by the FBI for ballot harvesting before? But yet they hired them and they still allowed them to go out there. So all of those that's been doing it, oh, the chicken's finna come home to roost. Look, I'm giving y'all a out. You could dial 832-591-9681. Talk to me now. Talk to me now. You to me now.
Let me say this though, Monroe.
Clank, clank. You're going to jail.
Let me say this, Monroe. But think about it. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day. That's how it's been done for a long time. That's what they've been doing for years. Like with my clients, I don't fool with that mail ballot stuff. I really don't. I don't touch mail ballots, right?
Your grandmother, who was a sharecropper, told you what mine told me.
What?
You can do it the right way. You just got to be 4 times better than them.
Right.
We don't have to do that.
Right.
So what they're telling me is they actually do not have the ability to beat the Republican Party if they fight them fair.
I don't know about that.
I tell you this here. As we get closer to the November races, it ain't gonna be the presidential race. I'm gonna pick a race and I'm gonna show you that if they get rid of this ballot harvesting, how bad that particular person on the Democratic side gonna get their ass kicked. Them people over there got money. They go spend $2 million on radio ads.
Mm-hmm.
As bad as people want to say, this is what they doing it too. Yeah, but if they doing it, they ain't getting caught. He'll get caught every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now we want a early ballot across the board. I mean, we want a mail-in ballot across the board. Man, that sounds like somebody trying to take over the whole country.
But let's move here let's pivot here for a second. And this is I'm the guest on this show, but I just want to ask a question to you. What are your thoughts on Diane Troutman's resignation and who should replace her? Because I mean that goes right into this mail, because the person who's going to replace her is going to oversee that mail ballot program for the county.
Here's the thing. Diane Troutman wasn't no fool.
Mm-hmm.
Diane Troutman got the hell up out the building before she went to jail.
Yeah.
Diane Troutman was going to be caught up in that foolishness.
Listen, if you read the articles, that's what I deduced too. And she was like, "No, I'm not going to jail for none of y'all."
Do it.
Right.
That tell you right there what they trying to do. But I want you to keep doing it because somebody don't believe fat meat is greasy.
Yeah.
But your ass gonna be in that penitentiary.
Yeah. But who do you think should replace her though?
Me?
Are you qualified, Monroe?
Why I'm not?
I'm asking. I don't know. Yeah. I'm asking you.
I got a PhD in common sense, and I'm nonpartisan. And guess what? I ain't gonna do nothing crooked.
So let me say this. So what I know about that situation is we've read. I think and I think Diane. Kudos to Diane for the job that she did. And she served this county for a long time. And I think her health maybe played a role into it. Maybe there's a lot of stress with it. I said maybe a lot of stress in that job.
To violate the law.
But listen. But I also think that there were some things that she didn't want to take part in as well.
Didn't want to go to jail, man. These people going to jail, man.
Okay. So in my view, her number 2, Tanisha Hudspeth Babalola, should be appointed by Commissioner's Court.
You think so?
Because listen, she's
like the new Chris Oliver.
No, listen. She's
going to be a worse puppet than Lena Hidalgo.
Hear me out, Monroe. Hear me out, Monroe. She is the most qualified person in this county to be county clerk. Arguably more qualified than Diane Troutman was. She's been at the county for a decade. She's the only person, given everything that's going on right now with the swift transition that's going to have to happen. She's the one who can hit the ground running day one and handle her business. A black woman. And so I would like to see the Commissioner's Court appoint Tanisha in the interim because she's well qualified. This should be open and shut. Shouldn't even be a conversation. And then I look forward to the precinct chairs putting her on the ballot in November, so she can run for the position as well. And look, we need another good quality a black person at that countywide position as well.
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna pass it.
Yeah.
Need you cover your ears. I've had a penis for 52 years.
Okay, I respect that.
And you say she been there 10. Just because I've had a penis 52 years does not mean that I know how to fuck.
Okay. Yeah, listen, if you ain't figured it out in 52 years, bro, we need to talk.
Mean that she's qualified to do the job. I'm being honest. And right now, we don't need somebody from the inside because we know the game that they trying to play.
Well, okay. But here's the thing, Monroe. I hear you with your critique on Tanisha, right? But don't be one of those people that can't offer a solution. So tell me, if it's not Tanisha, then who?
Me.
Give me a serious recommendation.
Why not? Why I'm not serious?
Listen. There's no disrespect to you, but give me somebody that.
And I said that because I knew you would say that. How many of these black folk that just got elected to some positions ain't got no degree in those fields? Wanda Adams does not have a law degree, and they just made her a judge. Is she qualified?
To be a justice of the peace?
Yeah. Is she qualified?
Well, the qualifications don't say you have to have a law degree, so yes.
So what are the qualifications for me to have to do that job?
Well, to be elected, I mean, you can just
Exactly, I'm qualified.
well,
Name in the hat, big homie.
okay, but you heard my recommendation. You heard my recommendation. Who I think it should be, and I think some folks in the comments also agree that Tanisha should be put in that spot as well.
Demetra.
Y'all be messing me up because I be having a whole bunch of questions. Then y'all go all off on some other stuff, and I gotta answer.
Come on. Whatever question you had anyway.
Okay, so first, I don't know if you guys really addressed it, but what makes her more qualified than Gary? Think about it. Hold on to that thought.
Okay.
We'll get back to it. And my next question is, if Democrats are really for the people and they really helping people, why do they gotta cheat? Shouldn't they stand for themselves or speak for themselves? I mean, if they're really doing all they say they're doing, and I'm nonpartisan, by the way, but if they're doing all they say they're doing, they should have people lined up just trying to kill each other to vote for them. So why do they need to cheat, the ballot harvesting and all that? Like, what is that about if they're really doing a good job?
Well, I mean, we just said it. They're not. They're not doing a good job. And so
but I'm saying per the lie they tell us, we're for the people. Obviously I'm paraphrasing, but we're for the people. We're gonna help you get this, we're gonna help you get that. I mean, if it's really true, then they shouldn't have to cheat.
I agree. But that's why I said we need to play in Monroe. You muted, you yelling, but you muted. We can't hear you.
The black politicians are for the gay people, they're for the white people, they're for the Latino people, they're for the immigrant people, and they don't give a damn about black folk.
Now back to the other question. What makes her more qualified than Gary?
Well, listen, I love my dear brother, Gary Wayne Monroe.
2 points.
I love my dear brother. But when we talk about a serious role like overseeing elections in Harris County, when you talk about 6 million people, when you talk about how Texas is a battleground state and we want to keep Harris County blue, we really can't have any on-the-job training. We really can't. And just listen. And no disrespect to my brother, but he would have to come in and learn how to do the job, opposed to a Tanisha who has been there in the county for 10 years and been directly serving in the deputy chief role for about 2 years. So she knows exactly what the bodies are buried. She knows how this thing operates. And so we can't afford, in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic, we can't afford any on the job training. Now, if Gary wants to come in a deputy role, or he's want to come in and learn and then eventually move up to that top spot, I'm all for it, and I'll be behind him. But I think right now,
Negro in charge.
Huh? What?
I'd like to be the head Negro in charge.
We can get you there, but I'm saying as of today, it would be a lot of on the job training, brother, and I don't want to put you in that position.
So let me ask this question because it helps. It helps, Demetra. It helps.
Wait, let me think. Okay.
If you just let me say this, Diane Troutman was the head person in charge, right?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that the young lady that you named and that Michael Wynn are the people that actually ran the party. So why couldn't Monroe build him a team to run my party the same way?
Wait, so you're saying they were more qualified, more knowledgeable than Diane?
No, I say they did her job.
Okay. Well, then what you just said supports my point. And you could argue maybe that's, I'm not gonna say that, but you could, in a crazy word, you would say argue that's why she quit, is because maybe the work got too overwhelming for her or something like that, right? And so right. So if we put you in that role, then you'll step down too.
No, I'll bring Demetra and Donovan with me and we'll clean this motherfucker up.
Word. Okay, let me ask you this, and then I'll rest my case. People keep saying I should go get me a law degree, but I'm good. I've been through a lot of school and I don't want to do it no more.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the job Barack Obama did as president?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I see you got his book behind you, so that's a halfway yes right there.
Yeah, that's my wife's book. I haven't read that book. I saw the documentary the other day though. It was really good though. I wanted more. I wanted more about her life. It was still surface level. They should have went a little deeper though. But she is a very inspiring figure though. Look at Donovan, what you laughing at over there, brother? But
to some degree that Barack Obama did as president within any of his 8 years.
Well, let me say this.
Answer the question,
I am. I'm gonna get there. Listen, I've been around too many politicians. You know, we got to dance before we answer the question, right? But when Barack officially won and got the delegates in November of 2008, I was in the club in Jackson, Mississippi. I had 2 Bud Lights in my hand. Me and my homie were in the club chilling. I had Bud Light each hand, and when he officially became president, I started crying, and I was so happy that I smashed the beer bottles together in the middle of the club. And, you know, I was just so overjoyed because I never thought I would see that in my lifetime. It was a big moment at that particular time. But overall, I thought he did a fair job.
Stop right there. Well, that's all I needed to hear. Now, what did he do before he became? He ran for Senate and then ran for the presidency of the United States. What did they call him?
What did they call him?
Yes, what was he?
He was a senator.
He was a community organizer.
Then he was a state senator. He was a community organizer. Absolutely.
What does Gary do?
Community organizer.
I rest my case. I'm reclaiming my time.
Oh, so you were setting me up there. You were setting me.
She watches a lot of Perry Mason and 12 Angry Men. Yeah.
Okay.
See,
okay.
A community organizer drives 4 hours to come to town to have a meeting with the upper brass of the police department because we've had a rash of police shootings. Why should I have to drive 4 hours when this city is saturated with community organizers and activists? Because honestly, they don't give a damn. So yes, I'm gonna tell you, I'm qualified for a lot of positions. You go get anybody you want, put them in an open forum with me, let them debate, and guess what I'm gonna do that night? I'm gonna put the suit and the bow tie on, and I'm gonna shock the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shock the world. I looked at the school board meeting last night, total dysfunction. When you're looking at the baddest dude that ran for school board that ain't sitting on it.
But we talked about that. We talked about that the other night.
Yeah.
I think you're better served on the outside.
Oh no, they keep me on the outside.
Yeah, I think you're better served on the outside.
Mess up the hustle on the inside.
I think you're more powerful on the outside.
I am powerful. Donovan.
Hey, Damien, like I said, brother, big props to you for coming on the show. I can see him holding a seat somewhere in the future. So, big ups to you, brother. I mean, you're doing that. I'm gonna make the question. What are you getting into in the future? What's coming down the pipe?
First, let me just make a shameless plug for my podcast, Damien Jones Podcast. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:30. You can find that on Facebook, Damien Jones Podcast, or you can go to my website, IamDamienJones.com, and find all that information to keep up with me and all that good stuff. But in the future, Donovan, I don't know. I'll continue to try to build Black political power. Looking forward to buying a house in a year or so. Make my wife happy so she can get off my back.
The VA has lifted the unlimited thing for the housing. So use your benefits.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me. My wife reminds me about my benefits all the time. Listen, every time we go to a store, she asks, "Y'all got military discount?" Because we eat half off at Chick-fil-A, man. So looking forward to one day becoming a father as well. So that's down the pipe for me. But I don't know. I don't know, but I know I'll stay involved in politics for sure. I don't know what that role looks like I'm not particularly sure, but I'll just go where God takes me. But I'm going to continue to do this podcast though as well, because as you all know, there's so much therapy in sharing information with people. There's so much power in giving information to good people. Like you have these great viewers watching tonight because they know y'all give good information. And so I take pride in sharing great information with people, talking with elected officials, to give them a platform to kind of talk about some of the things that they're doing, but also ask the tough questions. I don't ask them the way y'all ask them, but kind of ask those tough questions to give people high quality information. And so, like I said, from a negative experience of my own, I learned the power of media. And so I wanted to harness that and turn it into a positive and control the narrative of my own self and do my own media and then create media spaces where Black folks aren't demonized, because oftentimes we're demonized in the media because we ain't the ones telling the story. It's other people. And so when we tell our own stories, we give, kind of a very culturally competent perspective on it. And as you talked about, Demetri, we empower and we lift up others as well. So I don't know exactly what's coming down the pipe, but that's a really good question. But I know I'll stay involved in politics until the day I die.
Well, I'll close it out with this here, brother. That I see some bright lights in my future. So I got to make sure I can hold a note when I sing it.
Gary Monroe, County Clerk.
Dum, 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 dum. You notice at the end I trailed off. You put me in office, I'm cleaning it up. Billy the Kid style. Everybody going to jail, and we going to run it the right way.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, brother, for coming on. What day you got me coming on your show?
Oh, yeah. Monroe, you will be with me on the 22nd. So,
but if you don't mind, if my sister and brother are available, can they come hang out with us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, we're gonna go return the favor. We're gonna go to your show.
Let's do it. And let's do it.
And it is what it is. And I'm gonna leave you with what the good doctor said. The Warriors are in the war zone. No more plantation politics.
Yeah, our good brother.
Vote for our own enlightened self-interest.
Tell Dr. Muhammad I need him on my show.
The good doctor, he watching you.
Yeah, Dr. Muhammad, I need you on the show, brother. Let's have that conversation when time permits. Love the work that you continue to do.
I wanna say this, and then we're gonna go. That tomorrow night we got a fantastic show for you. So spread the word. I'm gonna post the flyer. They sing background for Anthony Hamilton, but they don't play the background for nobody. The Hamiltons will be live on the War Zone tomorrow, and we got so much coming up. Of course, Don King, Mark Breland, who was the trainer for Deontay Wilder, and he ended up firing him. I just went got Michael Young, who played in Texas' tallest fraternity, Phi Slamma Jamma, with Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. Monday night, 4-time WNBA champion Cynthia Cooper Dykes is in the building. It's a lot going on. We're blessed to be able to do what we do. And all you guys out there that's ducking the war zone, yeah, we're going to ask you the tough questions. We're going to be respectful. But we don't give passes. We don't. The people need to know who you are. And when we get ready, because y'all going to be ready for this one, we doing full-fledged debates. So when I call your number in your race, come on down. And if you duck me...
Hey, Monroe, are you qualified to sing backup for the Hamilton?
Nah, I sing background for me. I put on a whole concert today in the car. Say, I want to thank my guest, Damien Thaddeus Jones, my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, the queen, Demetri K, and I am the 5-star general. Tomorrow night, Grammy nominated. The Hamiltons will be in the building. It's going down, man. We'll see you tomorrow.